Hello everyone, welcome. Now I've left my phone in the other room because I was going to be able to engage with you at the same time as we do this pop-up training about your brand story. Maybe I can ask my son to get it for me. That's what I might do. So just give me a second. Excuse me, Peter. Would you be able to ask Zoltan to get my phone out of the bathroom? My bathroom. Okay, welcome everyone. So today's pop-up training is going to be about your brand backstory. And while we're waiting, if you're watching this video live, let me know that you're here because I'm about to get my phone.
There you go, Mum.
Thank you. And let me know underneath the video whether you've created a brand backstory at this point. So let me just go into the group and have it open. Morning, Helen. And so a brand backstory is exactly how it sounds. It is the backstory behind what has you doing what you're doing now to serve humanity. And what we look at is, as we're on this journey of building our business using our gifts, is that we are creating a personal brand on this online platform for people to connect to, so that they can know, like, and trust us and come into our field and receive from us. And as we know, it's a reciprocal experience. I just thought I might record this as well. Okay, so today is going to be about brand backstory, and I'm just saying this piece again because I've just pressed record and wanted to make sure that I can use this piece for other training and other things in different programs that I'm offering. And so, we're creating a personal brand in order for people to connect with us. And we know that some of the biggest brands in the world, pardon me, they use personal branding to support you to build that relationship with them, and it does build that bridge between you and the brand, to connect with. And so in the programs that I offer, we go deep into training about creating a brand and our values and our virtues and all of these pieces, and what the essence of your brand, and whether it's whether you have like a unexpected hero backstory, or whether you have whatever the backstory is, the framework of the backstory, we go deeply into that, into programs that I run over 6 and 12 months. For today, I'm going to give you the overview so that you have a grounding for why it's important, and maybe encourage you to do it. I've got a framework for you to follow to start creating one for yourself. Now, you will know what that is. You will know what that is for you. But this is the thing, we want to be able to communicate that with our audience so that they want to take the journey with us. They want to come into our field and receive from us. And in the other thing is that most of the clients, I would say 99.9% of the clients that I work with, are looking for structure, are looking for a plan of how to create content and how to take people on a journey and how to set things up so that you can make offers to your audiences, to your communities. So most clients want a structure, and this is a way to create structure. So I'm often encouraging my students that are in my programs to have an A3 art pad. And in that, like I've got 3 of them on the go because I use them so much. And one of the very first things I did was created a mind map. So in the middle was my birth, and then a mind map of all the significant pieces that I could remember that linked to the next piece, that linked to the next piece, that that has me show up in the world and see things the way I do. And so all of those experiences have shaped me. And so if ever, which is rare now, but if ever I am feeling a bit stuck or a bit lost, or I don't know, what content to create, if I'm in the middle of a launch or something, I can look at this art pad, I can look at my book, and I can see the story of my life and everything that shaped me, and all the jigsaw pieces all there, all in one place, and then look at those pieces and how that connects with what it is that I'm sharing right now. And so right now, the program that I'm sharing, so I've got a number of programs going at the moment, and one that is a download that I've received is this program called Resilient. And I was a little puzzled when it first came through for me, as I started to jot down the things that were coming through of how it would look and who it's to serve, and the journey that we would take in the program. Then when I got my book out, and I literally did this, I got my book out and I went, oh my gosh, this is actually one of my core gifts. Resilience is a core gift, and people have reflected that to me throughout my life. Like so many times, I in this moment of looking at everything and the resilience that's been developed through the journey of my life became really obvious to me when I looked at that. Now, I did that for the first time 4 years ago, that mind map of my life. And it's not only a healing experience, it's not only a cathartic experience, but it's incredibly supportive and a supportive strategy within your business. And so that process is, I highly encourage you to do that. And going back into the group, I'll turn the volume down, just making sure. Okay. What's so funny, I can't see the comments. Oh, there we go. Okay, Helen's just saying she hasn't got a backstory. Now I've got it open so I can follow. And so, better turn the volume down. And so that's one really important piece is for you to do a mind map. And that the second piece is to really acknowledge that in order for this to be communicated, in order for this to be shared with my audience, I have to know first. I have to know myself first. Know thyself. It's knowing yourself and meeting yourself deeply first. That's the first piece of building a brand and sharing it, is because when we understand and when we understand and we have integrated the experiences, and we know we know that everything had a purpose and everything has shaped us and supported us on our journey in some way, that it has developed our resilience, that it has showed us what we don't want to experience, that has redirected us. We know that the journey is I don't know one that's all rainbows and butterflies. It's coal under pressure to give us that diamond. And so in the journey of knowing yourself deeply and being able to meet yourself, and this is the journey that we take, is that we don't need to disassociate or distract or numb ourselves, because we can hold ourselves. We can be with the experiences that we've had and that we're taking ourselves through the journey of reparenting if that's necessary, and dealing with the traumas that we've had, so that then we can share our brand backstory from an integrated and an embodied place. And so I get asked all of the time, I'm not quite sure how much of my story to share. I'm not quite sure, if this is too much or this is not enough, or, and this is the piece. And I have been on this deep journey of discovery myself and really looking at, and no judgment to people how people show up online and what they do. Everybody gets to do you, boo. And at what level of vulnerability and what level of connection and what level of intimacy is right for me and right for my audience and who I'm here to serve. And so when I share from an integrated and embodied place where I have processed that experience, I have processed it, I have been with the feelings, I have moved through it. Now that doesn't mean completely healed and that's it. We have scars from these experiences, and sometimes there's other layers for us to navigate when we, as we evolve to the next version of ourselves. There's very, very often layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of that experience, that trauma for us to navigate. And it's that at each level that we're at each experience that we're having, at each time that we have had an experience of being activated or triggered in something, that we are able to back ourselves, hold ourselves, and process what is there for us at that time. We can't change the past, we can't go into the future, and we can just be in this now moment. And it's about what we are receiving from it in the now moment. And so and I know what I'm sharing is very conceptual, and it's very can be tricky to really land. If you still feel, if there's an experience that you've had, a trauma, and something that you haven't fully processed, and that it is reactivated in you, there is an invitation there for loving on yourself, meeting yourself, holding yourself through that experience. And after you've done that, and you may, in most of it, I have lots of support. I have VIP level coaching support, and so I have lots of care and guidance and mentorship in doing these things, in meeting myself deeply. And so when we do that, then we move from that activated place. We move from that activated place into a place of more resonance within ourselves, that then we can share about that piece, because then there's medicine. We've received the medicine from that piece, so then there's medicine to be able to share with our audience. And to me, that is when we know that it is okay to share with our audience, because we've received the medicine, and then we're able to give and share that medicine. And so let me know if you're watching the replay or you're on live, let me know how that lands for you, and if that all makes sense. And then I'm going to share with you the structure of creating a brand backstory. And it's just, one of the most potent ways, I'm actually doing a pop-up training on this, I don't know whether this week or next week, about storytelling. And storytelling is a divine art and a beautiful skill, and it really brings people together. It really amplifies, everything about what you're doing, and it activates our imagination and the imagination of others and all of our senses. And so it supports you it supports you to move people, and we want to move them to take action in their lives and in what they're doing. So totally get what you're saying. So Helen says, totally get what you're saying about being in the now, and you have really supported me through the experience, but moving into a place of our one-on-ones. That's amazing. I'm so glad, Helen. So Helen has had some one-on-one support, and she's acknowledging that, yes, she agrees with what I'm saying. And so In terms of the structure of a brand backstory, so what we want to do with anything like this is that we have all the content and all the framework first. And so you want to be able to do that mind mapping exercise or doing a draft of experiences that you've had in your life. The reason I choose the mind mapping is because we want it to be a right brain experience, not a left brain or a logical experience. We want it to be the creative and more emotive experience, because we're accessing the memories of our and the medicine that's available to us through everything that we've experienced. And so we make it a right brain creative experience. So I use colors and using my writing, using a pen instead of typing it out. And so it's a creative experience. And so we're accessing deeper levels, even some unconscious, some subconscious memories and experiences. So as I started to unfold some of the stories, some of the experiences, when I was looking, I was like, wow, I forgot about that. And I don't know why that memory is coming up. Well, there's a path that happens that as I'm uncovering one piece, and then another piece comes up. And it has been an incredibly healing experience to do this playful activity. And so we want to have all the pieces there. And I still add to it. I still now, 4 years later, have experiences where I will remember something and I'll add it in of where that fit in the whole. And now that piece that I've uncovered makes more sense to, like, this other piece over here that seemed really random and out of place before makes more sense, because now I've got this memory and this experience had me choose, to do something differently. And so we have the fun, playful experience. And then the structure for for the brand story. Now I'm going to write it above the video after we do this, and I'll just write it in a list so you can just follow the list. But I'll explain it as we go. So with any good story, we want to set the scene. And so we start with setting the scene, and we want to use all of our senses when we're describing it, so that the person that is reading it, that is receiving it, can have a sensory experience, because we want to move them, of course. And so, and I know that, like, the amazing coach that I'm working with one-on-one, when we are having, when there's something that we're doing, it is always that she's supporting me with, something that we're doing, that she's supporting me with, is that she will always speak into all of the senses. And so even though we're texting, it's in a support chat thread that we have between calls, is that even though we're texting, I'm having a full sensory experience, because I can see, feel, and sense what it is that she's describing to me. And so then I'm having the same kind of experience back, is that I'm being moved by the experience, I'm being taken on a journey. And so if we practice getting into that, our communication and our connection and our storytelling, and practice it in your daily life, is that you want to describe, when you set the scene, is just to describe and to share using all the senses. And so you talk about when you're talking about your brand backstory, you talk about the moment. So when my brand backstory starts is the moment that I had the turning point, the line in the sand moment. I remember how old I was, where I was, what I was wearing, what I could see, what I was feeling, what I was sensing. And so describing it so that the reader is actually being transported to that place with you when you're sharing it. And so we set the scene. And then the next step is that you're sharing your desire, your external desire. So what it is that you want to accomplish. And so it was always, for me, I wanted to create an impact. I enjoy the sensation of making an impact. And even the other day when I was at the airport, everybody was standing in a line. It was really busy on Friday morning, and everyone was standing in a line. They were all looking at their phones. So I was standing there, and I was just trying to get people's eyes to smile at them and watch the change that happens when you do that, because everybody's walking around zoned out and looking at their phones and not connecting with others. And then when I got to the security, when you put your bag and everything in the tray to go through the x-ray machine, and everyone's kind of just like robotic and on autopilot because no one's engaging, and I was just looking at them and with the intention of really just sharing my energy and light, because what happens, obviously it's reciprocal. And so you just watch, and I watch them light up and get excited, and then all these men giving me all these compliments like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful and you're so lovely, and really connecting because they had an experience of being moved by being impacted. And so what is your external desire? And then we share that in our backstory. What is your motivation? And it's something external. And then the third, so that's 2, and then 3 is your desire that's internal. And so what are you internally struggling to deal with? And now what we know is that what we're experiencing, other people are experiencing too. So we are sharing from a place of, I see you, I get you, I've walked this journey, I know what it feels like. And so it's then the internal struggle. And for me, the internal struggle was I had so much self-esteem issues and all those kinds of things, and I felt like I wasn't my authentic self. I had all these challenges with connecting, and I had no sense of belonging, and I felt really misunderstood. And so my motivation for this was to overcome that experience of feeling isolated and lonely and like people didn't get me. And then number 4 is, and number 4 is the trigger. So what awoke you to this opportunity? What had you wake up to this opportunity? And for me, it was taking me back to when I had that line in the sand moment where I was like, this has to change. I don't want to do this anymore. But what awoke me to the opportunity, the trigger was that I'm just thinking about my own backstory, and I was like, I was going to say something else because of, this is the thing, when you write your backstory, and then you continue to grow and evolve, you continue to change, and so your perception of experiences actually shifts. So I can't remember what I wrote for my backstory and what was relevant at the time, but what brought me to the opportunity was I actually went to a personal development event. So when I went to the personal development event, I was 21. When I went to the event, I remember looking, going, a whole new world opened up for me in that moment, because I went, oh, you mean I can change my thoughts? You mean I'm not destined to live the same life as my family, and all these kinds of things. So that was what woke me up to the opportunity that I could actually do that at a larger scale to support other people as well. And so that's A. And then B, what was the epiphany that started your journey? Well, the epiphany for me was, if they can do it, I can do it. And then, of course, the juicy, amazing journey that unfolds from that experience of when we have that moment, if they can do it, I can do it. And then that is very true, but for real, that is the divine truth. And then we have the journey to traverse our stuff and everything that comes up as a result of that. And I went through experiences of the first experience I had was going to a personal development event it was a man facilitating. And then I had stories of no one wants to hear from me because I'm a woman. And then I had stories of well, now I've got a family and I don't have the time to do that, and I'm not sparkly enough, and I'm not whatever, all the things that come up. I say whatever because it's been a journey. It's been a massive journey. And so these this structure and these questions, these prompts will support you to take you back to that moment. And I remember that moment of when I was at that personal development event and when I had that thought going, wow, everything looks different. My life will never be the same again now that I know this. And so I remember that experience. Pardon me. And then the journey of going beyond that has been fruitful and expansive. But for this brand backstory, these prompts are specific prompts to support you to structure the story in a way that's captivating and connecting for you and your audience. Number 5 is the plan. So what is the plan that you created to achieve your desire? And so if you look at then at that point, I was like, okay, well, I need, in order to do this, that this person was doing, this event that I was at, the plan is, and I conjured a plan in my mind at the time and shared a little bit about what that was. And in my brand backstory, and then the work. What is the work that you did, the process and the skills? And so then in this piece, we're actually sharing and communicating with our audience the journey that we've been on in a succinct way, the journey of learning some new skills, and then identifying that we feel like we never know enough, and we recognize at some point, actually the wisdom is within me, and that I no longer have to seek external validation, that it actually can come internally, and that it's a self thing. It's not, I had to learn the skills to communicate more clearly and presenting, and the confidence to do that, and I did heaps and heaps and heaps of vocal alchemy work because of how oppressed I felt in my throat. And there was an enormous journey that I went on in order to do what I do now. However, I've been doing it along the way. I've been doing it while I've been learning. And so I share this in my brand backstory, is that you don't have to have arrived at a place of being masterful in order to share your gifts. That's a big piece in my messaging. That is a big piece in my messaging. I just want to say F being perfect, F perfection, and all of that, is that you are able to show up and share your gifts and learn as you go. And this is, I look at some of the videos that I did when I first started this journey, some of the webinars and recordings, and I'm like, whoa, I can see the growth and expansion. But I love on that version of me, because she gave it a go. It didn't matter that she was like, I'm speaking of past Sky, it did not matter that she got off track and forgot things and sounded really, or whatever the stories are that I have now around when I look at that. But there was so little flow and so little trust in my channel, and it was very obvious. I was trying to remember what I wanted to communicate, and I still did the things. I'm celebrating. I celebrate how courageous she was, that version of me was and still is, because I was willing to do it, to learn it, to practice it, and to keep going. And yes, I've wanted to give up so many times. And yes, I've tried to convince myself that just go back to the simple life and just get a job and not do this, and then I'm always guided back because of this journey that I've taken. And when you familiarize yourself with the journey that you've taken, there is no going back. And so that's number 6. That was the work that you do and how you do it. So that what I did, the process and the skills, informs everybody the journey, the steps that we take and the journey that we take now in my programs and how I support you. Number 7 is, what conflict did you experience along the way. And every storyline has conflict. And this is not made up. These are things that you really experience, and these are ways that people will connect with you. And so the conflict is that all the things that come up that along the way, and the inner conflict, oh my gosh, the inner conflict, can I really do this? Am I cut out for this? Do I have the gusto to keep on going? The devotion, the resources, the support. We need support in order to keep to do what we do. And so the conflict, there were many conflicts along the way, and I share little pieces around that, but mostly it was inner conflict, and that were my biggest obstacles. Number 8 is, what was the end result? And so the end result is the fulfillment that I have, having overcome myself to share my gifts with the world. And so this is the thing that desire, that what I've overcome is the desire of others as well. And everybody loves that, to know that it's possible, to see someone do it is very validating for us. And so the end result is that the sensation of overcoming myself and then being able to share my message, be visible, be magnetic, serve clients, and that's the results that people want to experience and that I've experienced. And then number 9, the transformation. What was the transformation you experienced? And so even though this will be threaded through the other pieces that you've shared, you want to bring that into focus, is that what you've overcome, and the actual transformation, which is the ability to share your message without getting, like being like a deer in headlights, and being able to trust and receive the download that comes through, and then act on that and take action, not have a situation where someone else is doing the thing that you've downloaded because it was in the field and then you didn't take action, and so then now they're taking action, and then you've got to deal with the angst that happens internally when we recognize that that's happened, and we're like, oh. And so the transformation piece that you anchor, that you integrate and embody, is huge, that you communicate that, because that is the journey that people are taking. And then number 10 is hope, the words of hope. Yeah, what words of hope do you give? And so I say to people, this is challenging, this is a big journey, and yes, you're probably going to want to give up. And the words of hope are that it's only a matter of time. It's not if, it's it's not if, it's when. That's right. So it is going, if you stay with it, it will happen for you. And that's a big piece that I share. And number 11 is this is a system that I have around content creation, which I was going to talk about, but I'm looking at the time and I've got another call coming up, so I'm going to wrap it up. So then we put the story together, and then we use the content creation system in order to make sure that the story flows and takes people on a journey. But if you follow this structure, it will actually do that. And then you edit it, proofread it and edit it, and make sure that it flows. And sometimes we have to add some connecting pieces, or we take out some pieces that we maybe feel isn't relevant to the story. And so at this point, let me know what has landed for you around this brand backstory and what I've shared today. I'm just going to have a look at the comments. Oh, hello, Alrak. Thank you for that. She says, thank you for this offering. The structure is landing and helping me feel more comfortable with what and how I can share it in an empowered way. Beautiful. And Leanne, hello. So remember that as you change, as you grow and change, so will the story that you share. And so a lot of when I first started sharing in my coaching was a lot about my inner child work that I was doing. There was so much of my inner child that wasn't met, that was hugely transformative when I did meet that part of me and integrated that part of me. That there was a huge part of my story was about that. And then it has shifted. So know that this is not set in stone, that this will grow and evolve as you grow and evolve. And sometimes I remember the first version of my story that I wrote felt a bit too heavy and a bit too uninspiring to me. And so then I dug deeper and I went into my mind mapping and really looked at let's look at this at another level. Let's expand this a little bit more, and got to a place of where I felt moved by it. If I feel moved, then so will others in this experience. And I share often that I go through, whenever I go through experiences of up leveling, it's that being in the liminal space, being in the space between spaces before I land at the new version of me. I'm not the smaller self, older version of me. I'm not fully landed in the new self. I'm in this space in the middle, in this rebirth space, in the chrysalis, turning to mush and questioning everything. And this happens, and it happens more frequently than I would like. But and I share that in my journey, because it was a huge obstacle for me in the last 4 years. It was an enormous roadblock for me, was that experience, because I would take myself out every time that experience happened. And it would be like a break in anything that I was doing, and sometimes it would take more than a month. It would be 4, 6, 8 weeks where I'd have this experience, and so to cause a huge break in what I was doing, whether I was launching or showing up online or serving my clients or whatever it was. And in that break, there was a whole thing, a lot of stuff that happened in that experience each time it happened. But the biggest thing was, it was hugely disruptive to the flow in my business and to my inner peace. Was the biggest thing, was that it was so hard to navigate every time it happened. And so now what I have created and what I have birthed is like it's like my own blueprint, is this the wisdom that's come through that experience of having that happen to me over and over, and not wanting to have that experience, not wanting it to be so horrible and hard and create so much internal angst as I went through it, is that I've created, in a program called Resilient, I've created a template, and the template is designed for you to find your own unique way of this experience of sharing your gifts and offers with the world. But what that was born from was this deep reflection and support with my mentor, had me look at and review what it was that was happening that was causing the most angst in my business. It was never serving clients. I wasn't even troubled by dealing with conflict or not knowing something, or there was no challenges out there. It was that internal piece that was really affecting my experience in a negative way, in what I perceived to be a negative way. And so now, having worked that piece out and implemented that and embodied that in my own experience, now I'm ready to share that with others, that we don't have to have that break. We don't have to have that. It was burnout. It was total crash and burn. And it happened frequently because I wasn't able to hold myself. I wasn't able to meet myself in what was coming up as I was journeying with others. And so the invitation here is, if you feel the nudge and you want to know more about, you'll have to message me, because one of the challenges that I have had to have exercise my resilience in the last 24 hours or 48 hours is that Kajabi, by error, cancelled my account. So I have my landing page and everything in Kajabi, and the account was cancelled. So I got this email because I was questioning it, going, "Oh my gosh, what's happened?" And then the email's like, "We've done this in error." And so that I didn't spin out, because that's not what is going to serve me at all, I didn't want to spin out. And so I used all of these tools and pieces that I'm going to be teaching. And I used all of these pieces in order to support myself, meet myself, go there, reflect, get support from my mentor, and really hold myself through it. And so in the end of September and October, there's a 4-week incubator that is designed, it's like a mini mastermind, mistress mind, to support you with all of these pieces. It's called Resilient. And if you would like to know more, you'll have to message me, because until Kajabi gets it all sorted and back up, which should be today, because I'm waiting for them to come back to me. And so things don't have to stop. Life doesn't have to stop. Business doesn't have to stop. No, we don't have to collapse every time there's an obstacle. We don't have to spin out and spend our life force in the chaos of the situation. We can actually ground into the knowing of who we are and what we're here to do, and that this is just a little blip in the road, and that I can still support you and share things about it with you without having that landing page. We're still able to shine and do what we do, even if some of the structures fall around us. And so let me know if you want to know more about that. And if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, and let me know what landed for you from this pop-up training. Have a beautiful day. Let me know if you have any questions about the structure, about the framework, the brand backstory framework, and I'll pop it above the video so that you've got it to refer to. So have a beautiful day, evening, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, and I'll speak with you soon. Bye.